Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we will do a rapid review of 100 key circulatory system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision, helping you memorize high-yield terms commonly tested and used in pharmacy syllabus. Hypertension, abnormally high blood pressure. Hypotension, abnormally low blood pressure. Atherosclerosis, buildup of fatty plaques in arteries. Arteriosclerosis, hardening and thickening of arteries. Coronary artery disease, narrowed coronary arteries. Angina pectoris, chest pain due to reduced blood flow to the heart. Myocardial infarction, heart attack, death of heart muscle. Heart failure, heart cannot pump blood effectively. Congestive heart failure, fluid buildup due to heart failure. Arrhythmia, irregular heartbeat. Tachycardia, abnormally fast heart rate. Bradycardia, abnormally slow heart rate. Atrial fibrillation, rapid, irregular atrial contractions. Ventricular fibrillation, dangerous irregular ventricular contractions. Heart block, delayed or blocked electrical signals in the heart. Cardiomyopathy, disease of the heart muscle. Dilated cardiomyopathy, enlarged, weakened heart. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, thickened heart muscle. Restrictive cardiomyopathy, stiff heart muscle. Pericarditis, inflammation of the heart lining. Endocarditis, infection of the heart valves. Myocarditis, inflammation of the heart muscle. Rheumatic heart disease, valve damage after rheumatic fever. Congenital heart disease, heart defects present at birth. Septal defect, hole in the heart wall. Tetralogy of Fallot, congenital heart defect affecting blood flow. Valve stenosis, narrowed heart valve. Valve regurgitation, leaking heart valve. Mitral valve prolapse, mitral valve bulges backward. Aortic stenosis, narrowing of the aortic valve. Peripheral artery disease, reduced blood flow to limbs. Deep vein thrombosis, blood clot in deep veins. Pulmonary embolism, clot blocking lung arteries. Varicose veins, enlarged, twisted veins. Chronic venous insufficiency, poor blood return in veins. Raynaud's disease, reduced blood flow to fingers, toes. Aneurysm, abnormal bulging of a blood vessel. Aortic aneurysm, bulging of the aorta. Stroke, brain damage from blocked or ruptured vessel. Ischemic stroke, stroke caused by blocked artery. Hemorrhagic stroke, stroke caused by bleeding. Transient ischemic attack, temporary stroke-like symptoms. Embolism, traveling blood clot. Thrombosis, formation of a blood clot. Shock, inadequate blood flow to organs. Cardiogenic shock, shock due to heart failure. Septic shock, shock caused by severe infection. Hypovolemic shock, shock due to blood loss. Orthostatic hypotension, BP drop when standing. Pulmonary hypertension, high blood pressure in lung arteries. Anemia, low red blood cell count. Iron deficiency anemia, anemia due to lack of iron. Sickle cell disease, genetic blood disorder causing sickled RBCs. Thalassemia, inherited blood disorder affecting hemoglobin. Hemophilia, inherited bleeding disorder. Leukemia, cancer of blood-forming tissues. Polycythemia, excess red blood cells. Thrombocytopenia, low platelet count. Disseminated intravascular coagulation, abnormal clotting disorder. Sepsis, life-threatening bloodstream infection. Buerger's disease, inflammation of small blood vessels. Vasculitis, inflammation of blood vessels. Temporal arteritis, inflammation of head arteries. Kawasaki disease, childhood disease affecting blood vessels. Marfan syndrome, genetic disorder affecting connective tissue. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, weak connective tissue affecting vessels. Coarctation of the aorta, narrowed aorta. Patent ductus arteriosus, open fetal blood vessel after birth. Blood poisoning, severe infection in bloodstream. Hyperlipidemia, high levels of fats in blood. High cholesterol, excess cholesterol in blood. Low HDL, low, good, cholesterol. Metabolic syndrome, risk factors increasing heart disease. Cardiac tamponade, fluid compressing the heart. Pulseless electrical activity, heart electrical activity without pulse. Sudden cardiac arrest, abrupt loss of heart function. Heart murmur, abnormal heart sound. Postural tachycardia syndrome, heart rate increase when standing. Venous thromboembolism, DVT or pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary edema, fluid buildup in lungs. Left-sided heart failure, failure affecting lungs. Right-sided heart failure, failure causing body swelling. Ischemia, reduced blood supply. Cyanosis, bluish skin due to low oxygen. Claudication, leg pain due to poor circulation. Hypertensive crisis, severely high blood pressure. White coat hypertension, high BP in clinical settings. Atrial flutter, fast but regular atrial rhythm. Ventricular tachycardia, fast, dangerous ventricular rhythm. Sinus arrhythmia, normal variation in heart rhythm. Blood loss, hemorrhage, excessive bleeding. Capillary leak syndrome, fluid leakage from capillaries. Hypoxia, low oxygen in blood. Hypercoagulability, increased blood clotting tendency. Factor V Leiden, genetic clotting disorder. Chronic inflammation of arteries, long-term vessel inflammation. Cor pulmonale, right heart failure due to lung disease. Ischemic heart disease, reduced blood supply to heart. Cardiac ischemia, lack of oxygen to heart muscle. Sudden infant death related to heart defect, undiagnosed cardiac cause. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key respiratory system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision, helping you memorize high-yield terms commonly tested and used in pharmacy and respiratory system diseases. Asthma, chronic inflammation causing airway narrowing. Bronchitis, inflammation of the bronchial tubes. Acute bronchitis, short-term bronchial infection. Chronic bronchitis, long-term mucus-producing cough. Pneumonia, infection of the lung air sacs. Tuberculosis, bacterial lung infection. Emphysema, damage to lung air sacs. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, long-term airflow limitation. Influenza, flu, viral respiratory infection. Common cold, mild viral upper respiratory infection. COVID-19 viral infection affecting lungs and airways. Whooping cough, pertussis, severe bacterial cough illness. Croup, viral infection causing barking cough. Bronchiolitis, inflammation of small airways. Laryngitis, inflammation of the voice box. Pharyngitis, inflammation of the throat. Tonsillitis, inflammation of the tonsils. Sinusitis, inflammation of the sinuses. Allergic rhinitis, nasal inflammation due to allergies. Non-allergic rhinitis, nasal inflammation not caused by allergies. Hay fever, seasonal allergic rhinitis. Nasal polyps, soft growths in nasal passages. Deviated septum, displaced nasal septum. Epistaxis, nosebleed. Sleep apnea, breathing stops during sleep. Obstructive sleep apnea, airway blockage during sleep. Central sleep apnea, brain fails to signal breathing. Pulmonary fibrosis, scarring of lung tissue. Pulmonary edema, fluid buildup in lungs. Pulmonary embolism, blood clot in lung arteries. Pleurisy, inflammation of lung lining. Pleural effusion, fluid around the lungs. Pneumothorax, collapsed lung. Hemothorax, blood in chest cavity. Chylothorax, lymph fluid in chest cavity. Lung cancer, malignant tumor in lungs. Small cell lung cancer, fast-growing lung cancer. Non-small cell lung cancer, common lung cancer type. Mesothelioma, cancer of lung lining. Asbestosis, lung disease from asbestos exposure. Silicosis, lung disease from silica dust. Anthracosis, coal dust lung disease. Hypoxia, low oxygen levels in blood. Hypercapnia, high carbon dioxide levels. Acute respiratory distress syndrome, severe lung failure. Respiratory failure, inadequate gas exchange. Atelectasis, partial lung collapse. Interstitial lung disease, diseases affecting lung tissue. Sarcoidosis, inflammatory lung disease. Pulmonary hypertension, high blood pressure in lung arteries. Bronchiectasis, permanent widening of airways. Cystic fibrosis, genetic disorder causing thick mucus. Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, genetic lung disease. Viral pneumonia, pneumonia caused by viruses. Bacterial pneumonia, pneumonia caused by bacteria. Aspiration pneumonia, inhalation of food or liquid into lungs. Chemical pneumonitis, lung irritation from chemicals. Smoke inhalation injury, lung damage from smoke. Respiratory syncytial virus, viral lung infection in children. Avian influenza, bird flu affecting lungs. Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS, viral respiratory illness. Severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, serious viral lung infection. Upper respiratory tract infection, URTI, infection of nose and throat. Lower respiratory tract infection, LRTI, infection of lungs or bronchi. Tracheitis, inflammation of the trachea. Tracheal stenosis, narrowing of the trachea. Foreign body aspiration, object inhaled into airway. Vocal cord paralysis, loss of vocal cord movement. Dysphonia, difficulty speaking. Hoarseness, rough or weak voice. Chronic cough, long-lasting cough. Acute cough, short-term cough. Hemoptysis, coughing up blood. Dyspnea, difficulty breathing. Orthopnea, breathing difficulty when lying flat. Paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, sudden nighttime breathlessness. Hyperventilation syndrome, excessively rapid breathing. Hypoventilation, inadequate breathing. Respiratory alkalosis, high blood pH due to rapid breathing. Respiratory acidosis, low blood pH due to poor ventilation. Neonatal respiratory distress syndrome, lung immaturity in newborns. Bronchopulmonary dysplasia, chronic lung disease in infants. Pulmonary hemorrhage, bleeding into lungs. Lung abscess, pus-filled lung cavity. Empyema, pus in pleural space. Airway obstruction, blockage of airflow. Laryngospasm, sudden vocal cord closure. Tracheomalacia, weak tracheal walls. Bronchomalacia, weak bronchial walls. Hypersensitivity pneumonitis, allergic lung inflammation. Occupational lung disease, work-related lung conditions. Farmer's lung, mold-related lung disease. Byssinosis, cotton dust lung disease. Ozone-induced lung injury, lung damage from pollution. Smoker's lung disease, lung damage from smoking. Second-hand smoke exposure, lung damage from passive smoking. Altitude sickness, breathing difficulty at high altitude. Pulmonary contusion, bruised lung tissue. Chest wall restriction, limited lung expansion. Respiratory infection, disease affecting breathing system. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key muscular system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Muscle strain, overstretching or tearing of muscle fibers. Muscle sprain, injury to ligaments near muscles. Muscle tear, partial or complete rupture of a muscle. Muscle contusion, bruising of muscle due to impact. Muscle cramp, sudden painful involuntary contraction. Muscle spasm, uncontrolled muscle contraction. Delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, muscle pain after exercise. Overuse injury, muscle damage from repeated activity. Repetitive strain injury, RSI, injury from repetitive movements. Pulled muscle, common term for muscle strain. Muscular dystrophy, genetic diseases causing muscle weakness. Duchenne muscular dystrophy, severe childhood muscle disorder. Becker muscular dystrophy, milder inherited muscle disease. Myotonic dystrophy, muscle weakness with delayed relaxation. Congenital myopathy, muscle weakness present at birth. Myopathy, any disease affecting muscle tissue. Inflammatory myopathy, muscle weakness from inflammation. Polymyositis, autoimmune muscle inflammation. Dermatomyositis, muscle inflammation with skin rash. Inclusion body myositis, progressive muscle weakness in adults. Muscle atrophy, loss of muscle mass. Muscle hypertrophy, increase in muscle size. Pseudohypertrophy, muscle looks large but is weak. Fibromyalgia, chronic widespread muscle pain. Myalgia, muscle pain. Myasthenia gravis, autoimmune muscle weakness disorder. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, nerve disease causing muscle weakness. Spinal muscular atrophy, SMA, genetic muscle wasting disorder. Peripheral neuropathy, nerve damage affecting muscles. Lambert-Eaton syndrome, autoimmune neuromuscular disorder. Botulism, muscle paralysis caused by bacterial toxin. Tetanus, infection causing severe muscle stiffness. Muscle hypotonia, low muscle tone. Muscle hypertonia, high muscle tone. Flaccid paralysis, loss of muscle strength and tone. Spastic paralysis, stiff and uncontrolled muscle movement. Fasciculation, small involuntary muscle twitch. Muscle denervation, loss of nerve supply to muscle. Motor neuron disease, disorder affecting muscle controlling nerves. Muscle weakness, reduced muscle strength. Rhabdomyolysis, rapid breakdown of muscle tissue. Muscle necrosis, death of muscle cells. Compartment syndrome, pressure buildup in muscle compartments. Ischemic muscle injury, muscle damage from lack of blood. Muscle inflammation, myositis, swelling and pain of muscle. Infectious myositis, muscle infection by bacteria or viruses. Parasitic muscle infection, muscle damage caused by parasites. Muscle fibrosis, scar tissue replacing muscle. Muscle calcification, calcium deposits in muscle. Muscle contracture, permanent muscle shortening. Glycogen storage disease, problem storing muscle energy. Myocardial disease, muscle fatigue during exercise. Mitochondrial myopathy, muscle weakness from energy failure. Carnitine deficiency, reduced muscle energy production. Creatine deficiency, impaired muscle energy storage. Electrolyte imbalance, mineral imbalance affecting muscles. Hypokalemia, low potassium causing muscle weakness. Hyperkalemia, high potassium affecting muscle function. Hypocalcemia, low calcium causing muscle spasms. Hypercalcemia, high calcium causing weakness. Lactic acidosis, acid buildup in muscles. Muscle fatigue, decreased muscle performance. Exercise intolerance, inability to sustain activity. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. Cachexia, severe muscle wasting due to illness. Vitamin D deficiency myopathy, muscle weakness from low vitamin D. Steroid-induced myopathy, muscle weakness from steroid use. Protein deficiency, poor muscle growth and repair. Chronic muscle pain, long-term muscle discomfort. Trigger point pain, pain from tight muscle knots. Myofascial pain syndrome, chronic muscle and fascia pain. Muscle stiffness, reduced muscle flexibility. Muscle tightness, persistent muscle contraction. Muscle imbalance, unequal muscle strength. Postural muscle pain, pain caused by poor posture. Overtraining syndrome, muscle fatigue from excessive exercise. Delayed muscle recovery, slow muscle healing. Exercise-induced muscle damage, small tears from exercise. Muscle endurance loss, reduced ability to sustain activity. Muscle coordination disorder, difficulty controlling muscles. Congenital muscular torticollis, tight neck muscle at birth. Facial muscle paralysis, loss of facial muscle movement. Bell's palsy, temporary facial muscle weakness. Eye muscle weakness, poor eye movement control. Ptosis, drooping eyelid due to muscle weakness. Dysphagia, difficulty swallowing due to muscle issues. Dysarthria, slurred speech from weak muscles. Respiratory muscle weakness, weak breathing muscles. Muscle tone disorder, abnormal muscle tension. Muscle control disorder, impaired voluntary movement. Muscle adaptation, muscle changes due to training. Muscle regeneration, repair of muscle tissue. Muscle plasticity, ability of muscles to change. Systemic muscle disease, muscle disorder affecting the body. Neuromuscular disease, disease affecting nerves and muscles. Muscle soreness, pain after activity. Chronic fatigue syndrome, muscle involvement, long-term muscle fatigue. Muscle swelling, increase in muscle size due to inflammation. Muscle injury, damage to muscle tissue. Functional muscle disorder, muscle problem without structural damage. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key urinary system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Urinary tract infection, UTI, infection of the urinary system. Cystitis, infection or inflammation of the bladder. Urethritis, inflammation of the urethra. Pyelonephritis, infection of the kidneys. Asymptomatic bacteriuria, bacteria in urine without symptoms. Kidney stone, renal calculus, hard mineral deposits in kidneys. Ureteral stone, stone present in the ureter. Bladder stone, stone formed in the bladder. Nephrolithiasis, medical term for kidney stones. Renal colic, severe pain caused by kidney stones. Hematuria, blood in urine. Proteinuria, protein present in urine. Glycosuria, glucose present in urine. Pyuria, pus in urine. Oliguria, decreased urine output. Polyuria, excessive urine production. Anuria, no urine production. Nocturia, frequent urination at night. Dysuria, painful or difficult urination. Urinary frequency, frequent need to urinate. Urinary urgency, sudden urge to urinate. Urinary retention, inability to empty bladder. Urinary incontinence, loss of bladder control, stress incontinence, urine leakage during pressure, urge incontinence, sudden urine leakage, overflow incontinence, leakage due to full bladder, neurogenic bladder, bladder dysfunction from nerve damage, overactive bladder, frequent urges to urinate, bladder outlet obstruction, blockage of urine flow, vesicoureteral reflux, backflow of urine to kidneys, hydronephrosis, swelling of kidney due to urine buildup, hydroureter, swelling of ureter, acute kidney injury, AKI, sudden loss of kidney function, chronic kidney disease, CKD, long-term kidney damage, end-stage renal disease, ESRD, complete kidney failure, glomerulonephritis, inflammation of kidney filters, nephrotic syndrome, kidney disorder causing protein loss, nephritic syndrome, inflammatory kidney condition, IgA nephropathy, immune-related kidney disease, lupus nephritis, kidney damage from lupus, diabetic nephropathy, kidney damage from diabetes, hypertensive nephropathy, kidney damage from high blood pressure, polycystic kidney disease, genetic disorder with kidney cysts, simple renal cyst, fluid-filled sac in kidney, medullary sponge kidney, congenital kidney disorder, renal agenesis, absence of one or both kidneys, horseshoe kidney, kidneys fused together, ectopic kidney, kidney located in abnormal position, renal dysplasia, abnormal kidney development, renal hypoplasia, small underdeveloped kidney, bladder infection, infection of bladder lining, interstitial cystitis, chronic bladder pain condition, bladder inflammation, swelling of bladder tissue, bladder diverticulum, pouch in bladder wall, bladder rupture, tear in bladder wall, urethral stricture, narrowing of the urethra, urethral obstruction, blockage of urine flow, urethral injury, damage to the urethra, posterior urethral valves, congenital urethral blockage, urinary reflux disease, backward urine flow, renal artery stenosis, narrowing of kidney artery, renal vein thrombosis, blood clot in kidney vein, papillary necrosis, death of kidney tissue, tubulointerstitial nephritis, inflammation of kidney tubules, drug-induced nephropathy, kidney damage from medicines, toxic nephropathy, kidney damage from toxins, contrast-induced nephropathy, kidney injury after imaging dyes, post-infectious glomerulonephritis, kidney inflammation after infection, hemolytic uremic syndrome, kidney failure with anemia, minimal change disease, childhood kidney disorder, renal tuberculosis, tuberculosis infection of kidney, fungal urinary infection, fungal infection of urinary tract, viral urinary infection, virus affecting urinary system, parasitic urinary infection, parasite affecting urinary organs, schistosomiasis, parasitic bladder disease, bladder cancer, cancer of the bladder, kidney cancer, cancer of kidney tissue, ureter cancer, cancer of ureter lining, Wilms tumor, kidney cancer in children, transitional cell carcinoma, cancer of urinary lining, renal trauma, injury to the kidney, bladder trauma, injury to the bladder, urethral trauma, injury to urethra, hemorrhagic cystitis, bleeding bladder inflammation, radiation cystitis, bladder damage from radiation, renal abscess, pus-filled kidney infection, paranephric abscess, infection around the kidney, renal scarring, permanent kidney damage, urinary sepsis, severe infection from urinary system, recurrent UTI, repeated urinary infections, benign bladder disorder, non-cancerous bladder disease, functional urinary disorder, urinary problem without structural damage, congenital urinary anomaly, birth defect of urinary system, obstructive uropathy, urine flow blockage causing damage, reflux nephropathy, kidney damage from urine reflux, renal failure, loss of kidney function, azotemia, waste buildup in blood, uremia, severe kidney failure symptoms, electrolyte imbalance, renal, mineral imbalance due to kidney disease, urinary system disease, any disorder affecting urinary organs. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key endocrine system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Pituitary gland disorders, gigantism, excess growth hormone in childhood, acromegaly, excess growth hormone in adulthood, pituitary dwarfism, growth hormone deficiency in childhood, Hypopituitarism, decreased pituitary hormone secretion. Hyperpituitarism, excess pituitary hormone secretion. Pituitary gland disorders. Prolactinoma, pituitary tumor producing prolactin. Diabetes insipidus, ADH deficiency causing excessive urination. SIADH, excess ADH causing water retention. Pituitary adenoma, benign pituitary tumor. Empty sella syndrome, flattened or damaged pituitary gland. Thyroid gland disorders. Hyperthyroidism, excess thyroid hormone. Hypothyroidism, deficient thyroid hormone. Graves' disease, autoimmune hyperthyroidism. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, autoimmune hypothyroidism. Goiter, enlarged thyroid gland. Thyroid gland disorders. Thyroid nodules, abnormal growths in thyroid. Thyroid cancer, malignant thyroid tumor. Subacute thyroiditis, painful thyroid inflammation. Congenital hypothyroidism, thyroid hormone deficiency at birth. Iodine deficiency disorder, low iodine affecting thyroid. Parathyroid disorders. Hyperparathyroidism, excess parathyroid hormone. Hypoparathyroidism, deficient parathyroid hormone. Secondary hyperparathyroidism, compensatory hormone excess. Parathyroid adenoma, benign parathyroid tumor. Hypocalcemia, low calcium due to hormone imbalance. Pancreatic, insulin, disorders. Type 1 diabetes mellitus, autoimmune insulin deficiency. Type 2 diabetes mellitus, insulin resistance. Gestational diabetes, diabetes during pregnancy. Prediabetes, elevated blood sugar, not diabetes. Hypoglycemia, low blood glucose. Pancreatic, insulin, disorders. Hyperglycemia, high blood glucose. Insulinoma, insulin secreting tumor. Diabetic ketoacidosis, severe insulin deficiency. Hyperinsulinemia, excess insulin levels. Glucagonoma, glucagon secreting tumor. Adrenal gland disorders. Cushing's syndrome, excess cortisol. Addison's disease, adrenal hormone deficiency. Congenital adrenal hyperplasia, genetic adrenal enzyme defect. Pheochromocytoma, adrenal tumor producing adrenaline. Hyperaldosteronism, excess aldosterone. Adrenal gland disorders. Hypoaldosteronism, aldosterone deficiency. Adrenal adenoma, benign adrenal tumor. Adrenal carcinoma, malignant adrenal tumor. Adrenal insufficiency, inadequate adrenal hormones. Stress hormone imbalance, abnormal cortisol regulation. Reproductive hormone disorders. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, hormonal disorder in females. Hypogonadism, low sex hormone production. Hypergonadism, excess sex hormone production. Precocious puberty, early onset puberty. Delayed puberty, late sexual development. Reproductive hormone disorders. Menopause, end of ovarian hormone production. Androgen insensitivity syndrome, insensitivity to male hormones. Estrogen deficiency, low estrogen levels. Testosterone deficiency, low testosterone levels. Infertility, hormonal, reproductive hormone imbalance. Pineal gland disorders. Melatonin deficiency, sleep regulation disorder. Circadian rhythm disorder, disrupted sleep-wake cycle. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD, light-related melatonin imbalance. Pineal tumor, growth affecting melatonin. Delayed sleep phase disorder, late sleep pattern. Thymus disorders. Thymic hyperplasia, enlarged thymus. Thymoma, tumor of thymus gland. Thymic aplasia, absent thymus. Immune endocrine disorder, hormonal immune dysfunction. Myasthenia gravis, thymus-related, autoimmune neuromuscular disease. General endocrine disorders, hormonal imbalance, abnormal hormone levels. Endocrine hypertension, hormone-related high blood pressure. Endocrine obesity, weight gain due to hormones. Metabolic syndrome, cluster of endocrine risk factors. Growth hormone deficiency, low GH levels. Genetic and rare endocrine disorders. Multiple endocrine neoplasia, men, multiple gland tumors. Kallmann syndrome, delayed puberty and smell loss. Turner syndrome, chromosomal hormone disorder. Klinefelter syndrome, male chromosomal hormone disorder. Prader-Willi syndrome, appetite and hormone disorder. Calcium and bone hormone disorders. Osteoporosis, hormonal, bone loss due to hormone imbalance. Rickets, vitamin D deficiency in children. Osteomalacia, soft bones in adults. Vitamin D deficiency, impaired calcium absorption, hypervitaminosis D, excess vitamin D. Stress and metabolic hormone disorders, chronic stress disorder, long-term cortisol imbalance, insulin resistance syndrome, poor insulin response, leptin resistance, appetite regulation failure, ghrelin imbalance, hunger hormone disorder, thyroid hormone resistance, reduced hormone sensitivity. Other conditions, endocrine tumors, hormone-producing tumors, autoimmune endocrine disease, immune attack on glands, iatrogenic endocrine disorder, caused by medical treatment, congenital endocrine disorder, present at birth, acquired endocrine disorder, develops after birth. Other conditions, endocrine fatigue syndrome, chronic hormone exhaustion, subclinical hypothyroidism, mild thyroid deficiency, subclinical hyperthyroidism, mild thyroid excess, pediatric endocrine disorder, hormonal disorder in children, geriatric endocrine disorder, hormonal disorder in aging. Mixed, systemic conditions, diabetic neuropathy, nerve damage from diabetes, diabetic nephropathy, kidney damage from diabetes, diabetic retinopathy, eye damage from diabetes, endocrine crisis, acute hormone imbalance, hormone-secreting cancer, cancer-producing hormones. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key nervous system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Brain disorders, stroke, sudden loss of brain blood supply, ischemic stroke, stroke caused by blocked artery, hemorrhagic stroke, stroke caused by bleeding, transient ischemic attack, TIA, temporary stroke-like episode, brain tumor, abnormal growth in the brain. Brain disorders, glioma, tumor from glial cells, meningioma, tumor of brain coverings, encephalitis, inflammation of the brain, brain abscess, pus-filled brain infection, cerebral palsy, motor disorder from early brain damage. Spinal cord disorders, spinal cord injury, damage to spinal cord, paraplegia, paralysis of lower limbs, quadriplegia, paralysis of all limbs, myelitis, inflammation of spinal cord, spinal tumor, growth in spinal canal. Spinal cord disorders, syringomyelia, fluid-filled cavity in spinal cord, cauda equina syndrome, compression of spinal nerve roots, spinal stenosis, narrowing of spinal canal, disc herniation, slipped intervertebral disc, spina bifida, congenital spinal defect. Peripheral nervous system disorders, peripheral neuropathy, damage to peripheral nerves, diabetic neuropathy, nerve damage from diabetes, Guillain-Barré syndrome, autoimmune nerve disorder, carpal tunnel syndrome, median nerve compression, sciatica, pain along sciatic nerve. Peripheral nervous system disorders, radiculopathy, nerve root disorder, Bell's palsy, facial nerve paralysis, trigeminal neuralgia, severe facial nerve pain, ulnar nerve palsy, weakness of ulnar nerve, peroneal nerve injury, foot drop condition. Neurodegenerative disorders, Alzheimer's disease, progressive memory loss, Parkinson's disease, movement disorder with tremors, Huntington's disease, genetic movement disorder, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, motor neuron degeneration, multiple sclerosis, MS, autoimmune nerve demyelination. Neurodegenerative disorders, spinal muscular atrophy, genetic motor neuron disease, frontotemporal dementia, personality and language loss, Lewy body dementia, dementia with hallucinations, progressive supranuclear palsy, balance and eye movement disorder, motor neuron disease, progressive muscle weakness. Seizure disorders, epilepsy, recurrent seizures, generalized seizures, seizures affecting whole brain, focal seizures, seizures in one brain area, febrile seizures, seizures due to fever, status epilepticus, prolonged seizure emergency. Infections of nervous system, meningitis, inflammation of brain coverings, viral meningitis, viral brain membrane infection, bacterial meningitis, bacterial brain membrane infection, neurosyphilis, syphilis affecting nervous system, rabies, viral brain infection. Developmental and congenital disorders, autism spectrum disorder, neurodevelopmental condition, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, attention and impulse disorder. Learning disability, difficulty in academic skills, intellectual disability, reduced cognitive functioning, Microcephaly, abnormally small brain. Developmental and congenital disorders, hydrocephalus, excess brain fluid. Anencephaly, absence of major brain parts. Neural tube defect, congenital nervous system defect. Tourette syndrome, motor and vocal tics. Rett syndrome, genetic neurological disorder in girls. Autonomic nervous system disorders, autonomic neuropathy, damage to autonomic nerves. Postural hypotension, blood pressure drop on standing. Dysautonomia, autonomic system dysfunction. Hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating. Neurogenic bladder, bladder nerve dysfunction. Headache and pain disorders, migraine, severe recurring headache. Tension headache, stress-related headache. Cluster headache, severe one-sided headache. Neuralgia, nerve pain. Chronic pain syndrome, long-term nerve pain. Movement disorders, tremor, involuntary shaking. Dystonia, sustained muscle contractions. Chorea, irregular involuntary movements. Ataxia, loss of coordination. Myoclonus, sudden muscle jerks. Neuromuscular junction, NMJ, disorders. Myasthenia gravis, muscle weakness from nerve signal failure. Lambert-Eaton syndrome, autoimmune nerve muscle disorder. Botulism, toxin-induced paralysis. Trauma and injury, concussion, mild brain injury. Traumatic brain injury, TBI, brain damage from trauma. Diffuse axonal injury, widespread brain injury. Nerve compression injury, pressure-related nerve damage. Whiplash injury, neck nerve injury. Psychiatric and functional disorders, anxiety disorder, excessive fear and worry. Depression, mood disorder affecting brain chemistry. Schizophrenia, disorder of thought and perception. Bipolar disorder, mood swings disorder. Somatic symptom disorder, physical symptoms without cause. Other conditions, sleep disorder, abnormal sleep regulation. Insomnia, difficulty sleeping. Narcolepsy, sudden sleep attacks. Restless leg syndrome, urge to move legs. Syncope, temporary loss of consciousness. Brain death, irreversible loss of brain function. Other conditions, neurotoxicity, nerve damage from toxins. Metabolic encephalopathy, brain dysfunction from metabolic issues. Seizure disorder, secondary, seizures due to other disease. Central nervous system disorder, brain, spinal cord disease. Peripheral nervous system disorder, nerve disease outside CNS. Neurological deficit, loss of normal nerve function. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key integumentary system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Inflammatory and allergic skin conditions. Dermatitis, inflammation of the skin. Atopic dermatitis, eczema, chronic allergic skin inflammation. Contact dermatitis, skin reaction to irritants, allergens. Seborrheic dermatitis, scaly skin condition affecting oily areas. Urticaria, hives, raised itchy allergic welts. Inflammatory and allergic skin conditions. Angioedema, deep skin swelling from allergy. Pruritus, severe itching. Photosensitivity, skin reaction to sunlight. Lichen planus, immune-mediated skin disorder. Erythema multiforme, hypersensitivity skin reaction. Infectious skin diseases. Impetigo, bacterial skin infection in children. Cellulitis, deep bacterial skin infection. Erysipelas, superficial bacterial skin infection. Folliculitis, infection of hair follicles. Furuncle, boil, deep follicle infection. Infectious skin diseases. Carbuncle, cluster of boils. Tinea corporis, ringworm, fungal skin infection. Tinea pedis, athlete's foot, fungal foot infection. Candidiasis, yeast skin infection. Scabies, mite-infested itchy skin disease. Viral skin conditions. Warts, verrucae, viral skin growths. Molluscum contagiosum, viral pearly skin lesions. Herpes simplex, painful viral blisters. Herpes zoster, shingles, reactivated chickenpox virus. Chickenpox, varicella, itchy viral rash. Viral skin conditions. Measles rash, viral maculopapular rash. Hand-foot-mouth disease, viral rash illness. Roseola, viral rash in infants. Viral exanthem, widespread viral rash. Cold sores, herpes labialis. Acne and gland disorders. Acne vulgaris, blocked oil glands causing pimples. cystic acne, severe inflammatory acne, comedones, blackheads and whiteheads, hidradenitis suppurativa, chronic sweat gland inflammation, hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating, acne and gland disorders, anhidrosis, absence of sweating, bromhidrosis, foul-smelling sweat, sebaceous cyst, oil gland cyst, milia, small keratin-filled cysts, rosacea, chronic facial redness, pigment disorders, vitiligo, loss of skin pigment, albinism, genetic absence of melanin, melasma, hormonal skin pigmentation, freckles, small pigmented skin spots, lentigo, dark pigmented skin patches, pigment disorders, hyperpigmentation, excess skin pigment, hypopigmentation, reduced skin pigment, café au lait spots, light brown birthmarks, post-inflammatory pigmentation, pigment after skin injury, nevus, mole, pigmented skin lesion, hair disorders, alopecia areata, autoimmune hair loss, androgenetic alopecia, pattern baldness, telogen effluvium, stress-related hair shedding, trichotillomania, compulsive hair pulling, hirsutism, excess hair growth in females, hair disorders, hypertrichosis, excessive hair growth, tinea capitis, fungal scalp infection, pediculosis capitis, head lice infestation, hair shaft disorder, structural hair defect, scarring alopecia, permanent hair loss, nail disorders, onychomycosis, fungal nail infection, paronychia, nail fold infection, ingrown nail, nail growing into skin, Bowes lines, transverse nail grooves, clubbing, rounded nail tips, nail disorders, koilonychia, spoon-shaped nails, leukonychia, white nail spots, onycholysis, nail separation from bed, brittle nail syndrome, fragile nails, subungual hematoma, blood under nail, tumors and growths, benign nevus, non-cancerous mole, seborrheic keratosis, benign skin growth, skin tag, acrochordin, benign skin projection, lipoma, fatty skin tumor, hemangioma, blood vessel tumor, tumors and growths, basal cell carcinoma, common skin cancer, squamous cell carcinoma, malignant skin cancer, melanoma, dangerous pigment cell cancer, actinic keratosis, precancerous sun lesion, keratoacanthoma, rapidly growing skin tumor, autoimmune and genetic skin disorders, psoriasis, chronic autoimmune skin disease, systemic lupus erythematosus, autoimmune rash disorder, scleroderma, hardening of skin, pemphigus vulgaris, autoimmune blistering disease, bullous pemphigoid, autoimmune blistering disorder, autoimmune and genetic skin disorders, ichthyosis, dry scaly genetic skin disorder, xerosis, excessively dry skin, epidermolysis bullosa, fragile blistering skin, keloid, excessive scar tissue, hypertrophic scar, thickened scar, injuries and miscellaneous, burns, thermal skin injury, sunburn, UV-induced skin damage, pressure ulcer, bed sore, callus, thickened skin from pressure, corn, localized callus, injuries and miscellaneous, wound infection, infected skin injury, scar formation, healing connective tissue, skin ulcer, open skin sore, aging skin changes, wrinkles and thinning, skin dehydration, loss of skin moisture. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key digestive system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Mouth and esophagus disorders, dental caries, tooth decay due to bacteria, gingivitis, inflammation of gums, periodontitis, advanced gum disease, oral thrush, fungal infection of mouth, aphthous ulcers, painful mouth sores. Mouth and esophagus disorders, glossitis, inflammation of the tongue, xerostomia, dry mouth, dysphagia, difficulty swallowing, esophagitis, inflammation of esophagus, esophageal stricture, narrowing of esophagus. Stomach disorders, gastritis, inflammation of stomach lining, peptic ulcer disease, open sores in stomach or duodenum, gastric ulcer, ulcer in stomach, duodenal ulcer, ulcer in duodenum, gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, acid reflux into esophagus. Stomach disorders, hiatal hernia, stomach protrusion into chest, indigestion, dyspepsia, upper abdominal discomfort. Gastroparesis, delayed stomach emptying. Stomach cancer, malignant gastric tumor. Pyloric stenosis, narrowing of stomach outlet. Intestinal disorders, diarrhea, frequent loose stools. Constipation, infrequent or hard stools. Irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, functional bowel disorder. Inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, chronic intestinal inflammation. Crohn's disease, inflammation anywhere in GI tract. Intestinal disorders, ulcerative colitis, inflammation of colon. Intestinal obstruction, blockage of intestines. Intussusception, telescoping of intestine. Volvulus, twisting of intestine. Short bowel syndrome, reduced intestinal absorption. Appendix and colon disorders, appendicitis, inflammation of appendix. Diverticulosis, pouches in colon wall. Diverticulitis, infected diverticula. Colitis, inflammation of colon. Ischemic colitis, reduced blood flow to colon. Pseudomembranous colitis, antibiotic-related colon infection. Appendix and colon disorders, pseudomembranous colitis, antibiotic-related colon infection. Colon polyps, abnormal tissue growths. Colorectal cancer, cancer of colon or rectum. Megacolon, abnormally enlarged colon. Hirschsprung disease, congenital absence of colon nerves. Liver disorders, hepatitis A, viral liver inflammation, food, waterborne, hepatitis B, viral liver infection, bloodborne, hepatitis C, chronic viral liver infection. Fatty liver disease, excess fat in liver. Alcoholic liver disease, liver damage from alcohol. Liver disorders, cirrhosis, scarring of liver tissue. Liver failure, loss of liver function. Jaundice, yellowing of skin due to bilirubin. Hepatomegaly, enlarged liver. Liver cancer, malignant liver tumor. Gallbladder and bile disorders, gallstones, cholelithiasis, stones in gallbladder. Cholecystitis, inflammation of gallbladder. Cholecystolithiasis, stones in bile duct. Biliary colic, pain from gallstones. Cholangitis, infection of bile ducts. Pancreatic disorders, acute pancreatitis, sudden pancreas inflammation. Chronic pancreatitis, long-term pancreatic inflammation. Pancreatic cancer, malignancy of pancreas. Pancreatic insufficiency, lack of digestive enzymes. Cystic fibrosis, thick secretions affecting pancreas. Malabsorption and nutritional disorders, celiac disease, gluten-induced intestinal damage. Lactose intolerance, inability to digest lactose. Malnutrition, inadequate nutrient intake. Vitamin A deficiency, poor vision and immunity. Iron deficiency anemia, low iron absorption. Malabsorption and nutritional disorders, protein energy malnutrition, deficiency of protein and calories. Stearia, fatty stools, failure to thrive, poor growth due to malabsorption. Scurvy, vitamin C deficiency. Rickets, vitamin D malabsorption. Infections and parasitic diseases, gastroenteritis, inflammation of stomach and intestines. Food poisoning, illness from contaminated food. Amoebiasis, protozoal intestinal infection. Giardiasis, waterborne intestinal parasite. Ascariasis, roundworm infection. Infections and parasitic diseases, hookworm infection, parasitic anemia causing disease. Tapeworm infection, intestinal parasite. Typhoid fever, bacterial intestinal infection. Cholera, severe watery diarrhea infection. Dysentery, bloody diarrhea. Rectum and anus disorders, hemorrhoids, piles, swollen rectal veins. Anal fissure, tear in anal lining. Fistula in ano, abnormal anal passage. Rectal prolapse, protrusion of rectum. Rectum and anus disorders, proctitis, inflammation of rectum. Fecal incontinence, loss of bowel control. Anal abscess, pus-filled anal infection. Rectal cancer, cancer of rectum. Miscellaneous conditions, abdominal bloating, excess gas accumulation. Flatulence, excess gas release. Dyspepsia, chronic indigestion. Functional GI disorder, symptoms without structural cause. Motility disorder, abnormal gut movement. GI bleeding, bleeding in digestive tract. Miscellaneous conditions, occult blood loss, hidden GI bleeding. Peritonitis, inflammation of abdominal lining. Abdominal adhesions, scar tissue in abdomen. Short gut syndrome, reduced digestion capacity. Digestive enzyme deficiency, lack of digestive enzymes, digestive system disorder, general GI disease. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key reproductive system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Female reproductive system, amenorrhea, absence of menstrual periods. Dysmenorrhea, painful menstruation. Menorrhagia, excessive menstrual bleeding. Oligomenorrhea, infrequent menstrual periods. Polymenorrhea, frequent menstrual periods. Female reproductive system, premenstrual syndrome, PMS, physical and emotional symptoms before periods. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD, severe form of PMS. Endometriosis, growth of uterine tissue outside the uterus. Adenomyosis, uterine lining grows into uterine muscle. Uterine fibroids, non-cancerous growths in the uterus. Female reproductive system, polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, hormonal disorder with ovarian cysts. Ovarian cyst, fluid-filled sac in an ovary. Ovarian torsion, twisting of the ovary. Primary ovarian insufficiency, early loss of ovarian function. Ovulation disorder, problem releasing an egg. Female reproductive system, infertility, inability to become pregnant. Ectopic pregnancy, pregnancy outside the uterus. Miscarriage, loss of pregnancy before full development. Pelvic inflammatory disease, PID, infection of female reproductive organs. Salpingitis, inflammation of fallopian tubes. Female reproductive system, vaginitis, inflammation of the vagina. Bacterial vaginosis, imbalance of vaginal bacteria. Yeast infection, fungal infection of the vagina. Cervicitis, inflammation of the cervix. Cervical erosion, damage to cervical lining. Female reproductive system, cervical cancer, cancer of the cervix. Ovarian cancer, cancer of the ovaries. Uterine cancer, cancer of the uterus. Endometrial hyperplasia, thickening of uterine lining. Endometritis, inflammation of uterine lining. Female reproductive system, vaginal atrophy, thinning of vaginal walls. Vaginismus, involuntary tightening of vaginal muscles. Uterine prolapse, uterus slips downward. Pelvic floor dysfunction, weak pelvic muscles. Genital warts, viral growths on genital area. Female reproductive system, human papillomavirus, HPV, virus affecting reproductive organs. Herpes simplex infection, female, viral infection causing sores. Trichomoniasis, parasitic vaginal infection. Chlamydia, bacterial reproductive infection. Gonorrhea, bacterial infection of reproductive tract. Female reproductive system, vulvitis, inflammation of external genital area. Bartholin cyst, blocked gland near vaginal opening. Breast mastitis, infection of breast tissue. Fibrocystic breast disease, benign breast condition. Breast cancer, cancer of breast tissue. Female reproductive system, delayed puberty, late development of reproductive organs. Precocious puberty, early reproductive development. Hormonal imbalance, abnormal reproductive hormone levels. Congenital uterine anomaly, birth defect of uterus. Female reproductive disorder, any disease affecting female organs. Male reproductive system, erectile dysfunction, difficulty maintaining erection. Infertility, inability to cause pregnancy. Low sperm count, reduced number of sperm. Azoospermia, absence of sperm. Oligospermia, low sperm concentration. Male reproductive system, varicocele, enlarged veins in the scrotum. Hydrocele, fluid buildup around testicle. Spermatocele, cyst in epididymis. Testicular torsion, twisting of the testicle. Undescended testis, testicle not in scrotum. Male reproductive system, orchitis, inflammation of the testicle. Epididymitis, inflammation of epididymis. Prostatitis, inflammation of prostate gland. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, enlarged prostate. Prostate cancer, cancer of the prostate. Male reproductive system, testicular cancer, cancer of the testis. Penile cancer, cancer of the penis. Phimosis, tight foreskin. Paraphimosis, trapped retracted foreskin. Hypospadias, abnormal opening of urethra. Male reproductive system, epispadias, urethral opening on upper penis. Urethritis, inflammation of urethra. Genital warts, viral growths on genitals. herpes simplex infection, viral genital infection, chlamydia, bacterial reproductive infection, male reproductive system, gonorrhea, bacterial infection of urethra, syphilis, bacterial sexually transmitted infection, mumps or orchitis, testicular inflammation from mumps, delayed puberty, late sexual development, precocious puberty, early sexual development, male reproductive system, hormonal imbalance, abnormal reproductive hormones, hypogonadism, low testosterone production, androgen insensitivity syndrome, body unresponsive to male hormones, Klinefelter syndrome, genetic condition affecting testes, congenital absence of vas deferens, missing sperm duct, male reproductive system, ejaculatory disorder, difficulty with ejaculation, retrograde ejaculation, semen flows backward, painful ejaculation, discomfort during ejaculation, scrotal swelling, enlargement of scrotum, testicular trauma, injury to testicles, male reproductive system, reproductive tract infection, infection of reproductive organs, congenital reproductive anomaly, birth defect of reproductive system, functional reproductive disorder, disorder without structural damage, sex hormone disorder, abnormal estrogen or testosterone, puberty disorder, abnormal timing of puberty, male reproductive system inflammation, swelling of reproductive organs, reproductive system cancer, cancer of reproductive organs, reproductive system infection, infection affecting reproductive organs, reproductive system dysfunction, poor function of reproductive organs, reproductive system disease, any disorder of reproductive organs. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key lymphatic system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Lymph node disorders, lymphadenopathy, enlargement of lymph nodes, lymphadenitis, inflammation of lymph nodes, reactive lymphadenopathy, node swelling due to infection, localized lymphadenopathy, enlargement in one area, generalized lymphadenopathy, widespread node enlargement. Lymph node disorders, cervical lymphadenopathy, swollen neck lymph nodes, axillary lymphadenopathy, swollen armpit lymph nodes, inguinal lymphadenopathy, swollen groin lymph nodes, mesenteric lymphadenitis, inflamed abdominal lymph nodes, suppurative lymphadenitis, pus-forming lymph node infection. Lymphatic vessel disorders, lymphedema, swelling due to lymph fluid buildup, primary lymphedema, congenital lymphatic defect, secondary lymphedema, lymph blockage from surgery, infection, lymphangitis, inflammation of lymphatic vessels, lymphatic obstruction, blocked lymph flow. Lymphatic vessel disorders, lymphatic malformation, abnormal lymph vessel development, lymphangiectasia, dilated lymphatic vessels, chylothorax, lymph fluid in chest cavity, chylous ascites, lymph fluid in abdomen, thoracic duct injury, damage to major lymph vessel. Infectious lymphatic diseases, filariasis, parasitic infection causing lymph blockage, elephantiasis, severe lymphedema from filariasis, tuberculous lymphadenitis, TB infection of lymph nodes, toxoplasmosis, parasitic lymph node infection, cat scratch disease, bacterial lymph node infection. Infectious lymphatic diseases, infectious mononucleosis, viral infection with lymph swelling, HIV lymphadenopathy, lymph node enlargement in HIV. Bacterial lymphangitis, bacterial vessel infection, viral lymphadenitis, viral lymph node inflammation, fungal lymphatic infection, fungal spread via lymphatics. Immune and autoimmune disorders, autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome, abnormal lymph cell survival, systemic lupus erythematosus, autoimmune lymph involvement, rheumatoid arthritis, immune lymph activation, sarcoidosis, granulomas in lymph nodes, hypersensitivity reaction, immune overreaction in lymph tissue. Immune and autoimmune disorders, immunodeficiency disorder, weakened immune response, primary immunodeficiency, congenital immune system defect, secondary immunodeficiency, acquired immune weakness, graft versus host disease, immune attack after transplant, cytokine storm syndrome, excess immune signaling. Cancers of the lymphatic system, lymphoma, cancer of lymphatic tissue, Hodgkin lymphoma, lymphoma with Reed-Sternberg cells, non-Hodgkin lymphoma, diverse lymphatic cancers, Burkitt lymphoma, aggressive B-cell lymphoma, follicular lymphoma, slow-growing lymphoma. Cancers of the lymphatic system, diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, common aggressive lymphoma, T-cell lymphoma, lymphoma of T cells, lymphoblastic lymphoma, immature lymphocyte cancer, extranodal lymphoma, lymphoma outside lymph nodes, primary CNS lymphoma, lymphoma affecting brain. Spleen disorders, splenomegaly, enlarged spleen, hypersplenism, overactive spleen destroying blood cells, asplenia, absence of spleen function, functional asplenia, non-working spleen, splenic rupture, traumatic spleen injury. Spleen disorders, splenic abscess, infection in spleen, splenic infarction, loss of spleen blood supply, congestive splenomegaly, enlarged spleen from blood backup, wandering spleen, abnormally mobile spleen, splenic lymphoma, cancer involving spleen. Thymus disorders, thymic hyperplasia, enlarged thymus, thymoma, tumor of thymus gland, thymic carcinoma, malignant thymus tumor, thymic aplasia, absence of thymus, DeGeorge syndrome, congenital thymus deficiency. Tonsils and malt disorders, tonsillitis, inflammation of tonsils, chronic tonsillitis, recurrent tonsil infection, adenoid hypertrophy, enlarged adenoids, Waldeyer's ring infection, lymph tissue infection of throat, malt lymphoma, cancer of mucosa-associated lymph tissue. Congenital and developmental disorders, congenital lymphedema, lymph swelling present at birth, Milroy disease, genetic primary lymphedema, Meige disease, late-onset primary lymphedema, lymphatic dysplasia, abnormal lymph development, cystic hygroma, congenital lymphatic cyst. Inflammatory and systemic conditions, chronic inflammation of lymph tissue, persistent immune activation, reactive lymphoid hyperplasia, benign lymph tissue growth, Castleman disease, lymph node overgrowth disorder, hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, HLH, severe immune activation, systemic inflammatory response syndrome, widespread immune reaction. Post-treatment and secondary conditions, post-mastectomy lymphedema, arm swelling after breast surgery, radiation-induced lymph damage, lymphatic injury from radiation, surgical lymph node removal effects, impaired lymph drainage, cancer-related lymphedema, tumor-caused lymph blockage, chronic lymphatic insufficiency, poor lymph drainage. Miscellaneous conditions, lymph fluid imbalance, abnormal lymph volume, edema, swelling due to lymph failure, immune suppression, reduced lymphocyte activity, lymphocyte disorder, abnormal lymphocyte count, monocytosis, increased monocytes in blood. Other conditions, lymphoid tissue disorder, disease of lymph tissue, secondary lymphoid organ disease, spleen, node disorders, primary lymphoid organ disease, bone marrow, thymus disorders, immune system disorder, abnormal defense response, lymphatic system cancer, general lymph malignancy. Other lymphatic conditions, chronic lymphatic disease, long-term lymph disorder, acute lymphatic infection, sudden lymph infection, benign lymphatic tumor, non-cancerous lymph growth, malignant lymphatic tumor, cancerous lymph growth, lymphatic system disorder, general lymph disease. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll do a rapid review of 100 key skeletal system conditions and definitions. This video is designed for quick revision and memorization of high-yield terms for pharmacy school. Bone disorders, fracture, break in a bone, stress fracture, small crack from overuse, greenstick fracture, incomplete fracture in children, comminuted fracture, bone broken into pieces, compound fracture, bone breaks through skin. Bone disorders, pathological fracture, fracture due to weak bone, osteoporosis, loss of bone density, osteomalacia, soft bones in adults, rickets, soft bones in children, osteopenia, low bone density. Bone infections and inflammation, osteomyelitis, bone infection, periostitis, inflammation of bone covering, septic arthritis, infection of joint, reactive arthritis, joint inflammation after infection, tuberculous arthritis, TB, infection of joints. Joint disorders, osteoarthritis, degenerative joint disease, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune joint inflammation, gout, uric acid crystal arthritis, pseudo-gout, calcium crystal arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, inflammatory spine arthritis. Joint disorders, septic joint, bacterial joint infection, synovitis, inflammation of joint lining, bursitis, inflammation of bursae, joint effusion, excess fluid in joint, joint stiffness, reduced joint movement. Spine disorders, scoliosis, sideways spinal curvature, kyphosis, excessive outward spinal curve, lordosis, excessive inward spinal curve, herniated disc, slipped intervertebral disc, degenerative disc disease, disc wear and tear. Spine disorders, spinal stenosis, narrowed spinal canal, spondylosis, degenerative spine changes, spondylolisthesis, vertebra slips forward, spina bifida, congenital spinal defect, compression fracture, collapsed vertebra. Congenital and developmental disorders, achondroplasia, genetic dwarfism, osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bone disease, cleidocranial dysplasia, abnormal skull and clavicles, congenital hip dysplasia, abnormal hip joint development, clubfoot, talipes, foot deformity at birth. Bone tumors, osteoma, benign bone tumor, osteochondroma, cartilage-capped bone tumor, chondroma, cartilage tumor, giant cell tumor, aggressive benign bone tumor, osteosarcoma, malignant bone cancer. Bone tumors, chondrosarcoma, cartilage cancer, Ewing sarcoma, bone cancer in children, multiple myeloma, cancer of bone marrow, metastatic bone disease, cancer spread to bone, bone cyst, fluid-filled bone cavity. Metabolic and endocrine bone disorders, Paget disease of bone, abnormal bone remodeling, hyperparathyroid bone disease, excess PTH bone loss, hypoparathyroid bone disease, low PTH bone changes, renal osteodystrophy, bone disease from kidney failure, fluorosis, excess fluoride bone disease. Trauma and injury, dislocation, bone displaced from joint, subluxation, partial joint dislocation, sprain, ligament injury, bone bruise, microfracture injury, growth plate injury, damage to developing bone. Cartilage disorders, chondromalacia patelli, softening of knee cartilage, costochondritis, chest wall cartilage inflammation, cartilage degeneration, breakdown of cartilage, osteochondritis dissecans, bone and cartilage separation, intervertebral disc disease, disc cartilage disorder. Inflammatory and autoimmune, psoriatic arthritis, arthritis with psoriasis, reactive spondyloarthritis, inflammatory spine disease, juvenile idiopathic arthritis, childhood arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, autoimmune joint involvement, polymyalgia rheumatica, muscle and joint pain disorder. Bone deformities, bow legs, genu varum, outward leg curvature, knock knees, genu valgum, inward knee curvature, flat feet, pes planus, loss of foot arch, high arch foot, pes cavus, excessive foot arch, hammer toe, toe deformity. Growth and aging conditions, delayed bone growth, slowed skeletal development, advanced bone age, early skeletal maturation, growth plate closure disorder, abnormal growth ending, age-related bone loss, bone thinning with age, fragility fractures, fractures from minor trauma. Miscellaneous conditions, avascular necrosis, bone death from poor blood supply, osteitis deformans, another name for Paget disease, bone marrow edema, fluid buildup in bone marrow, bone spur, osteophyte, bony outgrowth, hyperostosis, excessive bone growth. Miscellaneous conditions, hypostosis, reduced bone formation, skeletal dysplasia, abnormal bone development, chronic joint pain, long-term joint discomfort, joint degeneration, progressive joint damage, skeletal system disorder, general bone disease. Miscellaneous conditions, bone weakness, reduced bone strength, joint instability, excessive joint movement, mechanical back pain, spine pain due to strain, postural deformity, abnormal body posture, bone inflammation, inflammatory bone condition. Miscellaneous conditions, joint inflammation, inflammatory joint disease, skeletal trauma, injury to bones, congenital skeletal disorder, present at birth, acquired skeletal disorder, develops after birth, degenerative skeletal disease, progressive bone and joint disorder.